bestbookbits.com brings you the book summary on How to Love by Thich Nhat Hanh. How to Love is part of a charming series of books from Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, exploring the essential foundations of mindful meditation and practice. How to Love shows that when we feel closer to our loved ones, we are also more connected to the world as a whole. Thich Nhat Hanh brings his signature clarity, compassion, and humor to the thorny question of how to love and distills one of the strongest emotions down to 4 essentials. You can only love another when you feel true love for yourself. Love is understanding. Understanding brings compassion and deep listening, and loving speech are key ways of showing our love. 1. You must feed love with bliss and share it with people. Think of your suffix a spoon of salt to a cup of water. You can't drink it, isn't it correct? Anyway, what would happen if you suffix the equal quantity to a river? Just a little salt can't change anything at all. It's kind of like love. The smallest mistakes and wrongs can make us angry if we have minor hearts. We become talented in getting well with people and feeling mercy and empathy if we make our hearts bigger as well. So how can you be filled with more love? Love must be fed. It wants bliss, because love is always alive like us and like other living things. It wants food. Love food is bliss. Happiness makes you talented in adoring both yourself and other people. In any case, there is a question: what is bliss? Some opinions can be explained by Zen Buddhism. The long-term bliss is not about people's shallow passions. This is a product of mindfulness. Take a step. You'll start to see what bliss is if you focus all individual action on your frame and escape your final aim and the reason you want to take there. Because living and valuing the available minute is concerning mindfulness. We start to realize the world's charms while we're living the available moment. We're able to actually discretion the delights of something so basically like a developing blossom. Don't do it individually. Beauties such as love and bliss are about splitting. A major method of realizing how to split these presents with humanity is applying mindfulness. Think that you're hiking with a pensive and anxious mate. Only by mentoring the stuff that makes your heart hot, you can carry bliss and love into the distress reflex, whether it's the sun or the game of plumes in the air. 2. You have to meet love's 4 properties to figure out the actual character of it. When you see the term love, what comes to your mind? Some of us amalgamate the notion with a special type of attractive mate. The best is a beautiful and accomplished one. Anyway, it's not the actual love. Firstly, you must learn to sense the character of love to clutch this. Real love isn't concerning what you try to win. It's concerning pretty about being acquainted with and sensing the pain of other ones. Love makes you observe agony from the view of a different individual, and that makes you want to relieve them. Empathy is an alternative method of defining this character of real love. When you discover it, it's not difficult to perceive genuine romance. It uncovers a universe of excellence and senses both revering and strong. It brings you a feeling of opportunity, quietness, and delight. In the event that you figure you may be infatuated, question thyself if you've loaded up with a feeling of unadulterated bliss or not. On the off chance that you aren't, it's not probably genuine romance. Happiness is supplemented by respect. There's a tradition in numerous pieces of Asia that companions ought to be treated as respectfully as visitors by each other. This is a significant piece of keeping up a connection, and even long haul makes ought to behave with similar profound regard. Extensiveness is the last trait of genuine romance. First and foremost, love is centered around a solitary individual. Well in time, it develops and starts to stretch outward, to envelop every living thing. You have to take care of its 4 important features to meet real love. These are compassion, mercy, delight, and calmness. We'll open those notions. Handling mindfulness to make people delighted is concerned with compassion. It's like a talent which makes the day star bright in even the most shut heart. Loving kindness makes us realize the pain of people and define ourselves with their status. We get tender, we may view actually and hear meaningfully once we handle with their pain. Delight is permanent and profound bliss. Carrying delight to people is an excellent present. Calmness is the last property. We can also name it like all-embracing stuff. It's the talent of melting the borders between yourself and a different human to make their pain yours. Number 3, you are wanted by love to confidence and esteem yourself and your mate. While you understand the most important characters of real love now, what else would you like to realize? We can count 2 different major factors to love, such as esteem and faith. Love isn't only about the other person. It's concerning faith that you feel to yourself and esteem that you behave yourself. Actually, love starts by staring deeply all the time. To love, you must realize to being in faith to your kindness and merciful internal. It's like loving yourself. You have to regard and believe your frame as it is in order to success. You'll discover your frame by receiving yourself as you are, as a temple in which you may look for relaxing and housing in stressful hours. Imagine a pasture full of blossom. Every single blossom is different. So we are. Every person is like a flower which is completely dissimilar than others. In any case, we got used to finding fault in ourselves and the people around us. Rather than searching beauty in things we see blossom and think that it's not pretty, that this leaf might be pruned off and that shelf rooted out. So we must understand to know that we're pretty anyway and bring it to our minds and others' minds that fact, particularly sensitive teenagers. Isn't it nonsense to attack a flower for its hue? On the contrary, that than just praising the shadow of its petals. Love is an avenue that has 2 roads. You'll demand to understand to spread that to your mate too, once you begin to believe and esteem yourself. Love can't exist with no belief. You can't live real love and with them if you can't believe somebody. Don't think that it's sufficient the only esteeming and believing in your mate individually. You also show it to them. The event that the writer has been in seeing a pair from Bordeaux who'd visit the retreat hub in France can be a model for you. While they were in a 3-way speech, the lady started to cry without control. Something wasn't in her living, such as a blossom that wanted to be watered. What was missing in her life? The writer explained to her partner that she also needs love and esteem. After lunch on that day, the man took the recommendation of the writer into account. He began to explain to his partner all the things he admired and esteemed about her and didn't leave it for a few hours. Number 4, we can be helped by moral application to realize how to love and set up the right candor. How do we know as a symbol of love in the past of the world? Jesus, Gandhi, the Dalai Lama, or Mother Teresa are simply examples that most of us give. Supernaturalism and religion are not that popular in our new Atlantic world, but when the topic is about real love in practice, religious and moral people come to the most of the mind first. That's not one of happenstance. Moral praxis is like a stair to realize how to love. While it still matters to feel openly in descriptions, we shouldn't see it like a non-true belief or an empty creed. It's an exercise that feeds the bliss and supports us to do better. Actually, while being relaxed and gathered, if we'd like to learn the deviances in our living, it's pretty important. Because we're not only somatic creatures, every single person has double bodies. First is the physical one, and the second is the ghostly body. Contemplation and mindfulness practices are concerning to blend those 2 systems of people. It's pretty simple for us to figure out our feelings when we've completed that for the one time. The purpose of mental exercise is connecting with our actual feelings. It also makes us understand the pain of other people and love them anyway. Cognizance of one's emotions is about love because real love makes us look for serenity. A decent method for building up genuine closeness is profound tuning in, a procedure that gives you a chance to find increasingly about your mate. Everything necessary is an hour or 2 wherein you focus on being absolutely available for them. The procedure is unending on the grounds that we all include bottomless deepness. Another method for setting up closeness is somatic closeness. Sex transcends the usual everyday and turns it into a thing of genuine excellence when it is all while a statement of enthusiastic and otherworldly closeness. That is actually quite difficult, however, and it possibly works when the two mates are completely careful and loaded up with admiration for each other. Number 5. Sex must be experienced intelligently because it doesn't set up real sincerity all along. Peoples sometimes mix serenity and sex, saying like we were sincere, supported. In any case, they're completely dissimilar terms at all, because sex doesn't set up real serenity at all alone. It may be enjoyable to sex without romance, but it's unsanitary anyway. Eventually, lust and true love can be collated. We own double systems, as we have discovered. The actual body can be pleased simply without dealing with the spiritual second one. Sex without romances ruins the linkage among the heart and consciousness. Individuals frequently go to sex to assuage their alone situation, overlooking that aloneness is a status that can't be mended by minor somatic touch. A relationship where the two mates share indistinguishable dreams and desires, from well as interfacing on a profound passionate grade, is the main genuine solution for loneliness. We don't support that sex doesn't include a real sincere event. It can, while doing it intelligently. Disapproving of sex when you don't feel like it is a fundamental piece of this sort of care. Not consenting to sex just to satisfy your mate or to save yourself for ponderous of saying you're not in the state of mind is the main method for remaining consistent with your needs and effectively conveying them. Loving sex can't exist if it doesn't mirror your emotions and desires. Rehearsing sex admirably is tied in with orchestrating your wants with those of your mate. Genuinely cozy sex is the product of this feeling of association. It may disappoint you some of the time you can't be in similar part with your mate. In any case, you can figure out how to put your sexual vitality to use in different pieces of your living. Simply consider unmarried priests. It doesn't mean that they don't encounter sexual want. They create procedures to outfit it in different closures, giving it something to do in slashing wood, keeping an eye on the garden, cooking, thinking, or committing their regard for loved ones. Number 6. Mates should have a similar yearning and try to discuss affectionately with one another. It's hard to keep up an adoring relation. That is valid justification not to make the entire business considerably trickier by living with a partner who doesn't split your qualities and life objectives. It's essential that a feeling of shared longing to solidifying a sound relationship, because it builds up solidarity. At the point when both of you have similar thoughts regarding where you need to go throughout everyday life, you can move as one. That thusly is more probable while you're effectively investing energy discussing what's essential to two of you. Get a pair who has set out on a way of profound learning. They can likewise split their encounters by ruminating together or making their general surroundings an all the more cherishing spot because they split similar thoughts regarding what they esteem best. While we can't know where that may carry you, the thing that begins with only two individuals can bloom into an entire network soon. That is the manner by which bunches of profound focuses begin. At last, several similarly invested individuals unite to tell their yearnings and living at each other. Lovely transmission is important for uniting you and your mate in a similar vision. So how are you concerning that? A decent standard guideline is that you shouldn't expect that you recognize what comes to your mate's mind or what they demand. That underscores tuning in. Inquire them what it is that they demand or what might fulfill them, and watch that you've comprehended them effectively. Putting this methodology energetically will stay with you in a great place with regard to strife. So delay in taking a full breath as opposed to bouncing into habitual pettiness when the unavoidable contention gets up. You should hold up until you've discovered something really helpful and wanting to state. Profound listening takes place to carry out here as well. Figuring out how to tune in to your mate's perspective without intrusion is a conscious method for settling a difference. Keep in mind, regardless of whether you imagine that you're morally justified, you can generally come to your meaningful conclusion in the wake of accepting your mate's perspectives. Number 7, being in love includes carefulness and helping to be a cure. Opportunities are that you'll have met the notion of mindfulness in a quiet number of several places. The opinion has become very effective in the West, so that we methodically resist with recommendations on how to hike, get food, and practice in a careful method. So why don't you love in a careful method as well? This is essentially repeating again that real love is nothing but mindfulness. You should begin with the word love. It's a nice term. It has a sense that we have to be attentive, not to plume its effect by just telling that we love hamburgers. It becomes more meaningful when we use it the way of only having a conversation concerning real love. The love with carefulness is overall. Loving everything concerning a person is about valuing their charms and their frailties and mistakes as well. Care is a curb on the compulsive, negligent decisions which makes us dismiss troublesome parts of those we adore instead of committing ourselves to calmly helping them replace. The careful lover becomes a therapy by putting aside the self-acting decision. We can look back at the West to understand this. Karuna is mercy in Sanskrit, which is an old philosophic tongue that greatly talked across South Asia. It means the capability to be in pain from another person, but it still has a more meaningful point as well. Karuna isn't only concerning understanding other people, trying to decrease others' pains, and being in a major status to get their sorrows well, immediately also have meaning of it. Imagine a medic. If she was merciful and was likely to share the suffering of your appendicitis, it would be awesome. But you'd also ask her to heal it, right? While medics aren't working to do that. In this status, by lifting your appendix, they get you well and destroy the reason for suffering. In this meaning, love is like a remedy. It's a craft that makes you get the pain of your mate and get them well. Well, as we saw, love is a doable buyer's coin. Two of you and your mate have to be therapy. When you have pain, you should certainly request help. This can be complicated in the light of the fact that it takes boldness to concede that you need help, particularly when it's your mate who's the reason for your agony. Engaging each other for assistance in any case is the only method to accomplish shared recuperating. Number 8. Your thoughts of the relationship must be examined by you, and you should trust these important senses. An intelligent small elf which is sitting on your shoulder and telling your ear what you should say would be great, right? Just like people causing fighting by choosing the unwanted mistake and saying things, it'd be great for dealing with disagreements. Fortunately, to help you in hard times, there are 3 causes that you may remember at any time. First of all, your mate has to know that you're furious and it is taking you to pain. You may write them a note if you have a problem with speaking to them face to face. Secondly, they have to see that you're dedicated to the relationship and understand that you're doing your best about love. Certainly, you should say it only if it is actual. Question yourself about being really careful about the relationship after taking a deep breath. While you're furious, try not to say anything. Third one, request your mate to aid you to solve the case. Owning an arrangement like this to back on might be a priceless instrument for dealing with your relationship. In any case, it's insufficient all alone. Genuine romance is the product of a receptive outlook. You should be set up to scrutinize your suspicions about the relationship. Imagine the set of the day. In the end, we're persuaded that there is still day star in the sky. If you ask a researcher in any case, they'll disclose to you that what we're talking are grander at its picture of where the sun was around 8 minutes prior because the speed of light and the world's separation from the sun. Our sensations and the guesses we foundation onto them are frequently like that. Taking the mistaken tip of the rod is simple, so being modest and querying our appearance of things are the best ways. We frequently suffer the most because of the thoughts our mate did something on goal. But if we search deeply, we immediately see that they were just trying to struggle with their sorrow, not trying to break us. How to Love by Thich Nhat Hanh Book Review. Sex, charm, and the ideal mate aren't concerning love. Real love means living the day, realizing how to listen and understand the pain of people. We become talented in being mercy and empath when we learn how to be careful, and that's the key method of an adoring living based on esteem and true serenity. We have an instance of mindfulness from the writer's living. When a Western lady inquired him for a cuddle, the writer acted weird because of a custom that doesn't see cuddling as a regular social action. So what was his reaction? He tried the moral method which he has learned before on this strange event. He found a great cuddling meditation which let him learn a new practice and became more careful and merciful in his daily life by condensing on the minute and dedicate all interest of his brain, body and spirit to the move of cuddling. That's a wrap on this interesting book summary on How to Love by Thich Nhat Hanh. If you like this summary, click the link below. You can download this in PDF format. We at Best Book Bits have done over 1,000 book summaries in video, written and audio format. So check out the website bestbookbits.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. We've also put together our top 450 best book bit summaries in one massive downloadable PDF. So click the link below to download this. Thanks for watching and listening. Have yourself an amazing day.